The purpose of this video is to talk about the concept of delaying a foreclosure sale. This actually came from a viewer question. So if you are somebody out there who has a question on anything that you're seeing, make sure you ask me. I will always do my best to answer your question and give as much information as I can. So the question came in like, how do I delay a foreclosure sale? So the first thing that you want to figure out is whether your state has a judicial or a non-judicial foreclosure process. If you want to understand the difference between those two things, you should watch the video on my page about what the difference is. I'm going to be speaking to the non-judicial foreclosure process. I'm an attorney in Washington State, and most of the foreclosures in Washington are non-judicial. So I don't have a ton of knowledge to give for people in other states who have a judicial process. But for non-judicial foreclosures, there are kind of like two main ways to actually legally delay a foreclosure sale. One would be filing a bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy close to your foreclosure sale. That will, by law, kind of stop the sale. The other would be to, sue your lender in some manner and get some sort of foreclosure injunction so they can't stop it. So in terms of like delaying it in a way that you absolutely know concrete is going to be delayed, those are your two options. But then I'm getting a question that's like, is there anything I can do to kind of communicate with my trustee to encourage them to give me a little bit more time? So the first thing I want to say is, if you have a non-judicial foreclosure in Washington, foreclosure postponements are not guaranteed. So do not rely on asking for a postponement or providing any of this compelling information as a 100% way to avoid foreclosure. If you have a foreclosure date in place, you really should be speaking with an attorney about all of your options and not just assuming that one of these things I'm going to discuss is going to work. However, there are some things that you can do to potentially get yourself more time. So as we've discussed in other videos, the trustee is the legal entity in Washington that is actually handling the foreclosure sale. So your bank is the person foreclosing, but they have to hire kind of an in-state company to execute the sale. And in Washington, trustees have what's called a duty of good faith to kind of review all information and make decisions in good faith as an independent third party. Questions get, thrown out all the time, like how independent are they really? They're foreclosing on behalf of the banks. They make money when they foreclose. So they're not, as independent as it would be if you had just like a neutral panel of people, but they're supposed to be kind of reviewing things independently and kind of acting like a neutral third party. So if you have a compelling reason to ask for a foreclosure postponement, you want to make that request as early as possible. So number one is, if you're going to try to delay your foreclosure sale without doing one of the more kind of legal things like filing a bankruptcy, you're going to want to give yourself as much time as possible. So there is no benefit in waiting. So timing is key. You want to ask for it as soon as possible. And then you want to kind of provide as much compelling information as possible. Compelling information does not mean writing a letter to the trustee saying that you don't want to move and you want more time and you're feeling bad, right? Feelings don't really do a lot. What you have to be communicating to the trustee is that you have an alternate solution that will genuinely solve the issue at hand. So I see postponement requests going in from homeowners sometimes, and they're just like, please don't foreclose on me. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. I feel compassionate toward you people, but the trustees really don't. And so if you're somebody who's just going through a tough time, hardship information is probably the least compelling way to delay a foreclosure sale. If you are considering selling your property and you have equity in your property, which means you can complete a sale of your home and then fully pay off everything you owe to satisfy your mortgage, that is one compelling reason that a trustee might consider delaying their foreclosure sale. So if you know you're kind of at the end of the line, you know you want to get out, and you know that there's enough money in the property in order to fully sell it and pay them off, you want to communicate that to the trustee. And the best way to communicate that is with as much documentation proving that you are serious about the sale as possible. So here's what I recommend. I recommend writing a letter telling them, I want to sell my home. Then you need to show them that there's equity. So pull up a valuation of your home. If you have an agent, they will know what a broker's price opinion, a BPO, or an actual appraisal is. And then you want to run that against the payoff, the total amount needed to pay your mortgage. So in your letter, you tell the bank, I want to sell my home. I owe whatever, $200,000 on this mortgage with all fees included. my home is worth $450,000, and then you want to tell the lender, I don't have any other liens on this property, or if you do, I have other liens, but they can be fully paid off. And then you want to also attach, so you have your appraisal showing the value. You are explaining to the trustee that the value of your home is more than you owe on the mortgage, so they know that you'll be fully paid off. And then you need to tell them or show them as much information as you can to prove that you're serious. And the most serious information that you can show the trustee proving that you do want to sell your home is a listing agreement, right? If you've signed up with an agent and said, yes, I commit to list my property on this day, trustees will take that seriously. And then your agent will want to kind of write a letter explaining the market conditions and being as persuasive as possible and telling the trustee that, hey, we're listing this as much as possible. You know, we believe that there's buyers in this area. Your listing agent can attach some comparables showing how quickly other properties in your area sold to make the best argument. So you basically go to the trustee, you give them an appraisal, you show them the payoff amount, you tell them they can receive all the money if they just give you a little bit more time to sell it. And then you tell the trustee that you will actually sell it because the market's doing well. So between you as a homeowner and your real estate agent, work together to kind of create this package, and that will kind of help you. So that's one way. Another way to kind of delay a foreclosure sale is by having what's called a complete loss mitigation package in review with the bank. So there's other videos on my loan modification playlist about what a complete file means and the challenges around getting a file deemed complete and how to kind of handle all of that. But if you are able to deem a loss mitigation package complete 30 days or so before your foreclosure sale date, banks are legally required to put your foreclosure on hold while they review and issue a decision. So in simple terms, if you want to apply for a loan modification to just get current and stop with the default issues, and you're able to complete that package, the bank will be required to issue a decision on that loan modification request prior to foreclosing. Now, please understand this. 37 days before your foreclosure is too tight of a timeline. So don't be trying to complete a loss mitigation or a loan modification package within 37 days of your foreclosure sale. You need to do this early. And it still might be that the bank issues a decision and then they issue a denial decision, and then they can keep going with an already scheduled foreclosure sale. So I want to be real clear about this. Just the fact that you get a package deemed complete doesn't stop your foreclosure. But what it will do is it will make the lender respond and give you a decision back while they kind of place it on hold. So that's a little bit nuanced of a thing. If you have questions about that, I strongly recommend you reach out to an attorney in your state. You never want to use loss mitigation as a surefire way to postpone the foreclosure. But there are guidelines in place that say that if you're able to complete stuff, if you're able to complete your package, that lenders must hold the foreclosure while they issue a decision. That doesn't stop them from issuing a denial decision very close to your foreclosure sale date, so make sure you consult with an attorney. That's the information I've got at this point. There are other ways that you can request postponements from your trustee. You know, if you have a medical condition that's preventing you from moving, sometimes that works. You want to attach the medical documentation that you have. If you have some other sort of compelling reason that I'm not mentioning here, sometimes people have a huge inheritance or a huge windfall of money coming in and they just need a couple extra weeks in order to reinstate the mortgage. Those can be compelling sometimes, but for everything that you tell the trustee that is going to happen or that you want to do, you have to be able to prove it, and you have to be able to show them documentation that you're serious. If you're about to receive the funds to reinstate the mortgage and you want to use that reinstatement reason to stop the foreclosure sale, you have to show them documentation. And again, please understand that just because I'm giving this advice and saying that this is kind of things that work sometimes, it is not a foolproof way of working, so don't rely on this as like a guaranteed option. This is just kind of to answer a general question, like how would you go about trying to delay it? But if this applies to your situation, you definitely want to consult with an attorney and get some help to make sure you're doing everything you can to avoid your foreclosure in the strongest way possible. Good luck.